Some of you have asked how to load data into Google Colab, either upload files from your local machine or get it from the internet. There are a number of different ways to do that, and I'll show you a couple of them here. So first, let me open up Google Colab, and I'm going to open up one of my notebooks from my GitHub page. So I'll click on GitHub over here, put in my GitHub repo. Of course, you can get this from the course resources. And let me scroll down, and I'm going to look for the text sentiment notebook. And this one needs some data. It needs the training data. It also needs these glove vectors. So first thing I'm going to do is change my runtime to Python 3 and GPU so I can get some hardware acceleration. Save that. It's connected. Then I'm going to do a couple of things. First thing I'm going to do is run this first cell. And this is kind of important because notice it says reset all runtimes before running, because as soon as you reset a runtime, you will lose any files that were uploaded. So I'll say run anyway. And notice it says you want to reset all runtimes. The state of runtimes, including local variables and files, will be lost. I haven't uploaded any files, so nothing will be lost. If I had uploaded files at this point, those files will be lost. So that's why I run this first cell initially. Okay. Then once I do that, I can click this icon over here, which will expand the left pane. Well, it's taking a couple seconds. There, it's finished. And it says open the left pane. When I open the left pane, it has a tab over here for files. And under there, there's an upload. All right, so what I'm going to do is click upload, and I have my sample files, all my data files, and I'm going to upload these three. And I can shift select all these, or shift click and shift select all these. I can upload all three at the same time. I'm not going to upload the glove vector file because it's pretty large and it can take time. I'll show you another way to get that file in just a second. So notice it says, reminder that uploaded files will be deleted once this runtime is recycled. Okay. So if you notice over here, I have the three files right there. They're in the root directory. We'll have to make an adjustment in our code to point to the root directory. It's in the same directory as the notebook. All right. So now I'm going to load the training data, and notice this training data, if I was to run this cell right now, it's going to give me an error. It says file not found because each of these files initially has this data prefix. So I'll remove the data prefix, from all three, rerun this cell, and it loaded the data. So we're in good shape. Now the next step, we need to load these glove vectors, and that's a relatively large file. I could do the same thing. I could upload it. It takes quite a bit of time depending on your network connection. I'm going to do it a slightly different way. What I'm going to do is create another cell here. So I'm going to click this code right there. And then in this cell, what I'm going to do is use the wget command, and the exclamation point means execute a command, and I can execute a number of Unix-like commands. And I'm going to do is wget, and if I open up the glove vector web page, it's linked on the notebook, I'll right-click on this glove6b and copy the link address. Once I have the link address, I'll paste it here, and I'll run this cell. And that's going to use a relatively fast network connection through Google Notebook. It has perhaps a faster network connection than you may have, so it downloads it pretty quickly. And also this is a zipped file, so it will load much more quickly. So it's going to take a few seconds. All right, so it has fully downloaded, and if you look over here on the left, you see glove6b.zip. Now we need the raw text file, not the zipped file, and in fact that zip file has three other files in it. So I can unzip that file, and the way I do it is create another cell, and I can run another Unix-like command. I can type exclamation point unzip, and I'm going to unzip this file, and I'll copy and paste so I get the name correct, like that. And then I will run that cell, and it expands each of those, and it expands the first one. This is really the only one we need, this 6B50D, the 50 dimension glove vectors. The other two are a little bit larger. It will take a little bit of time for it to unzip, but it should be finished in a second. And you see over here on the left, you can see them expanding. Okay, so it's expanded all three, and I have them right there. So then I can run the next cell, which would define some parameters, the number of words, the number of classes, and the embedding dimensions. I've got to do one more change here. Notice this is referring to the data directory for the glove vectors. It's in the same root directory, so I want to remove the data directory. Run that cell. Then I need to encode the text. Takes a second. I got to run this other little cell here to create the embedding matrix. So it's loading the glove vectors. Notice it found them since I downloaded it. It's in the correct directory, so that's done. Then I can define the model. Takes a couple of seconds, and it's going to print out the summary of the model. We've seen this before. And then we're going to train this model. All right. And notice how quickly it runs because we're using GPU acceleration. That's the nice thing about using a GPU and using it in Google Colab. Runs very quickly, even though it's 40 epochs or so, runs quickly. And finally, we have an accuracy of about 80%, which is pretty good for this model. Then we can make some predictions. We'll make all the predictions, and then we'll look at some examples. So here's an example. I get absolutely horrible reception in my apartment where the other phones, with the other phones I have not had this problem. So it's definitely a negative sentiment. The prediction is 0 and the label is 0. So it did a pretty good job. We can try a few others. Seems to work pretty well. Display is excellent. The camera is good as any from that year. Positive sentiment, and so on. And similarly, we can run the error analysis for cases where it gets the answer wrong. Here's one. Just reading in the specs alone makes you say, wow. So it predicted as 0, but the label is 1. So it's really a positive sentiment, but somehow it kind of got confused, and it sees them as somewhat close in terms of prediction. So it could kind of gone either way. So you can see this is a couple of different ways to download data or upload data into Google Colab notebooks.